Okay, so now we'll look at the equations of the circles. So the equations of a circle is simplified as Pythagoras theorem relations between the calculations of radius and their distance from the center. So suppose we have centers with the coordinates of x and k, and with the radius of r, and we got these informations, so we can write down all the equations and the range and the domains of the equation of the circle. So basically we use the distance formula. For example, we got a point on the circles, then we calculate the distance from the point to the center, which is equivalent to the radius. Okay, for example, we take the centers as coordinates 3 and 4. So the distance from the point to the center will be x minus 3 square plus y minus 4 square, which is equals to the radius square. So this is the applications of Pythagoras theorem with in a coordinate system. So after this, we can see that actually the equations of the circles can be simplified as this form. Okay, and we can see the centers or coordinates of the centers of the circles directly from the equations, and the radius can also be found as well. So let's take an examples. One, as we got the equations of x minus 2 square plus y minus 1 square equals to 4. Okay, so from these equations we can quickly find the centers of the circles, which is 2 and 1. Okay, so from x minus 2 and y minus 1. And for the radius, we gotta be very careful because from the equations of circles, we know that the radius is a square root of 4. So we must take the square root of the right hand side constant term. Okay, so we got the radius to be 2. And for the domain and range, actually we know that domain is the x values which the graph covered, and which the y value will be valid when we put in the x values. So the domains will be the range of the circle, okay, the size of the circles, which is the x coordinates subtracting the radius and the x coordinates of the circles adding the radius. Okay, so it's 2 minus 2 starting point, and the 2 plus 2 on the right hand side. And the range, in other words, is the height of the circle. Okay, so starting from using the center or y coordinates of the centers of the circles, which is 1, and then adding up this radius, that's the upper range, and subtracting the radius, that is the lower range. Okay, so from the equations we can see all the things: center, radius, domain, and range, and even sketching the graph. Okay, so taking another examples, we have x plus 1 square plus y square equals to 9. So here we got to see the center from these equations, which is the x coordinates is -1. Okay, so because originally it should be, from distance formula, it should be minus. And for the y coordinates of the centers is 0, because here y subtracting nothing. And up to the radius, we're taking the square root of the constant term on the right hand side, which is square root 9, and it is 3 for the radius. Domain, taking the x values minus the radius, adding up the radius, that is the range of domain. And for the range, we take the y coordinates of the center, 0 minus the radius, 3, and adding up the radius, 3. So up to now, we can see from the equations we can generate all the things we need from the equations of the circle. Okay, so let's look at how we sketch the graph from these equations. Okay, so for example, we have another equations: x plus 2 square plus y minus 1 square equals to 1. So here we can simply find the center and radius once again, which is very quickly -2 and 1. And for the radius, it's the square root of 1, which is also 1. Okay, so we know that the coordinates of the centers is on the left hand corners, so -2 and 1, and the radius is 1 as well, so we can sketch the circles on the left top corners of this coordinates plane. Of course, we can also find the domains and the range as well, okay? But sketching the graph, we need to identify where the center is, and then how long will be the radius. Will it be fall inside the quadrant, or it will like expand to another quadrant crossing some x-axis or y-axis. We have to depends on the radius. Okay, so this is how we find from the equations of circles to find out their center, radius, domain, range, and then sketching the graph.